have a wild theory about flying, as in airports and planes and stuff. I think it's a secret religious ritual, and every time we fly, we're participating in it without knowing. I know it may sound a little bit cuckoo, but once you hear what I have to say, I think there's a good chance you're going to come over to my side. You see, flying on its face already sounds like a special kind of experience. You start out grounded in land with a routine and a 9-to-5 job or whatever, and then you're going to fly. You're going to go on a plane that's going to take off, and you're going to be flying up with the gods, up in the sky, in heaven, for a few hours. And then you're going to come back down to earth with the mortals at a new destination, you know? And I feel like everything has been set up. The people behind the airports and the whole system and the infrastructure are kind of on the same plane, if you know what I mean. Yeah, because think about the airport. What is the airport? It's like a huge waiting room. It's like the waiting room to heaven. It's a place that is huge, but it's also very liminal. Very liminal. In the past, airports were different. They kind of looked like shopping malls. They had columns and maybe an atrium and little hallways with shops, but not now. They have changed the architecture of newer airports, and they're all kind of pretty much the same. They're all sort of like a very flat dome with a ceiling that it's like a huge expanse. It feels like you're looking at the horizon. It feels like you're looking kind of like at the sky. And there's this harsh white light coming from every direction. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, you see, if it's 5 a.m. or 2 p.m. There's no time at the airport. The airport is a place outside of time. You can be eating dumplings at 5 a.m. You can be sleeping at 1 p.m. You can do all of these things because time stops passing at the airport. Everybody's jet lagged. You don't know where you're coming from or where you're going. Time zones get screwy, and they do nothing to counterbalance this experience. On the contrary, like I said, it's the same light, day and night. Then once you check in, once you put your luggage on the counter of the airline and you get your ticket, what do? Well, a few things happened. The first one is they tell you that you have to go in through a specific gate. You have to go to your gate, like the gate of heaven. There's multiple different gates, but you have to make sure to be at the gate at the right time so the pearly whites can open for you. But before you can get to the gate, first you need to be examined. You need to be examined like your life was on trial. We're going to look with x-rays into the interior of your baggage. You know, the one you carry with you. You carry luggage with you. We're going to inspect it. We're going to see what's inside. And you're going to give us an account of what you're carrying with you. We're going to make you take your clothes off. You know, your belt, anything made out of metal that you may be carrying. But more importantly, we're going to make you take off your shoes. Because you're now on sacred land. Just like Moses when he talked to the burning bush. Take off your shoes, God said. You're stepping on holy ground. And that's exactly what you do when you're going to get into the airport. I always thought it was pretty stupid that they made you take your shoes off. And like the whole security system, it always seemed excessive to me. First of all, if you're like a terrorist and you want to hijack a plane, you're going to come up with a method. Don't worry. This line of people getting checked, getting examined, taking their shoes off, it's not going to deter a real terrorist. They have masterminds planning attacks. So it all felt excessive, but it also felt pointless, stupid. Take your shoes off. What was the excuse that they gave us why we had to take our shoes off? Oh, yes, because somebody could put a blade inside the heel of the shoe. I mean, there's a lot of places that you can put a blade in, and the shoe doesn't seem to be like the best option. If you go through a metal detector, they're probably going to ring if you have a blade inside the heel of your shoe, right? No, to me, it's very clear. There's a different motivation behind this examination. It's kind of like there's a movie with, I think it's Bill Murray, maybe, or someone who looks like Bill Murray, that is a guy that dies and he then has to go on trial for his life. Yeah, that's the sensation I get when I have to go through security at the airport. It's more about judging the contents of my baggage, the baggage I bring with me into heaven, than anything else. So then you go to your gate and you sit and you wait, and there's a voice coming from somewhere up there telling you, it's time to board a plane. You know, Abraham, grow and multiply. Yeah, to me, it feels like it's all set up to give you a sensation of being in heaven or about to enter heaven. And then you jump on the plane. And then you jump on the plane, and the plane is crazier because the plane, it's like a little simulacra of a human life. Like you go into the plane, and it could be just a 4-hour flight. It doesn't have to be like an overnight transatlantic flight. And not a 4-hour long flight, and they'll compress time so that you have to live an entire day in 4 hours. It's 4 hours, okay? It's 4 hours. You just had lunch, okay? It's 2 p.m. where you came from, and yet they're going to make you have another lunch. They're going to make you take a nap. They're going to make you watch a movie, and they're going to cram all of this into 4 hours. And you know what? It's not even the real deal. Like the lunch, it's not a real lunch. Nobody would be satisfied with this lunch. It's like a tiny toy lunch, like you're in a dollhouse with a tiny cutlery and like baby carrots, and maybe there's an olive. There's like a funny little salad with 2 leaves of lettuce and a quarter of a tomato and 1 olive. And you're like eating this thing, even though you're not hungry, because you're not hungry, you just had lunch. It's just a 4-hour flight. You would have been okay with peanuts, popcorn maybe, I don't know. We don't need to go through all of this. We don't need to do a simulacra of an entire day. We're fine. And then you go to sleep, but obviously it's not a full night's sleep because it's a 4-hour flight, so you have at most about 20 minutes. But people get very upset if you interrupt their nap time in the sky. If you interrupt somebody's nap time up in the sky, even if it's like a 3-hour flight, they act like literal babies. They throw tantrums. It's incredible. Emirates has now showers. Showers on first class. I traveled once on first class in a cabin in Emirates, and I didn't feel the need to take a shower on the plane. Like, I know we're supposed to like live a whole life in the minutes that we are up in heaven with the gods, right? But I skipped the shower. I didn't feel the need to get into the shower. But yeah, so, and then you're ready to land. And then you land, and it's like you do the whole thing, but backwards. You go to security, you take off your shoes, you put on your shoes, you take off your belt, you put on your belt, you pass through like the metal detector. You go get your bags. It's like the whole thing, but in reverse. And it got me thinking that, this could explain, like, if this was some sort of like high-level magic that was going on, like they were trying to push all of humanity to go through this weird occult ritual without telling us, it would make sense then that we have had this obsession with traveling this past 20 years. Traveling went from something that was difficult to do and super expensive and luxurious and like only a few families could afford it to like everybody traveling all over the place. Traveling went from like your father going on a business trip wearing a suit, right? He can take the whole family because it's very expensive. And he's going like 2 towns over to like the office boy, the one who's like on a scooter taking correspondence to every cubicle. He booked a flight with Ryanair to Portugal. He's gonna go there with his friends. And so the entire planet just like going through these airports, like everybody, it's like a ritual at a mass scale. And then we got hotels. And don't get me started on hotels, because I think John Wick was onto something. I think hotels are secretly embassies for the dark elites, but that's stuff for another video. I think we're good for today. Think about the airplanes. Think about airports. Do you feel like you're entering heaven when you cross your gate? I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.